I don't think you are, but...
I am ready. I'm ready to talk.
Uh-huh.
Hi, welcome listeners. My name is Ellen Cherry, and I'm sitting here with my good friend Andrew Grimm, and you are listening to the Why Aren't You Famous podcast.
Podcast, yes. I'm enjoying a sandwich.
What kind of sandwich is that?
This is a Reuben panini.
It's only half of one.
It's only half of one because it's, I'm going to save the other half for later.
I'm going to post a picture of this sandwich because it is literally the size of half my face.
It is, no. You have a tiny face. It's your whole face.
I know, I do have a preternaturally tiny face. So, we're here, and you're going to eat during our podcast. I guess I have to.
Sweet potatoes right there.
Sweet potatoes are a more proper podcast food.
That's not true.
It is true.
Whatever. So how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so great. I'm the greatest I have ever been in my whole life. I'm figuring stuff out. I've got the world on a string. My skin is dewy, fresh from all of the moisture that I've recently put out of my eyes onto it.
Wow. Man. You should have your own brand of Ellen Cherry moisturizer. It's just the tears of Ellen Cherry.
I'm glad we can laugh through our pain.
Yep. And we've gotten so casual that we are both now eating. We're both eating during the podcast.
We're trying to fit this into our lunch hour.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough out there.
Okay, so today's topic is commerce versus art.
Yes, commerce versus art.
Oh, and I just realized something that when you hear my essay, you're going to chuckle about.
Oh.
Because of its relationship to what's happening right now.
Oh, okay. Something's happening right now.
Yes.
Sweet. Is that Thor Ragnarok?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, that's a movie. It's a film about Thor.
So if you're listening, this is just basically two people in a room sitting across from each other at a card table.
Don't poo-poo this is, I worked really hard on this
It's amazing,
setup.
and I did compliment you because, dear listeners, previously when we would record this podcast, we would be simply sitting in front of mic stands with our microphones. But when I showed up at the studios out here in Westminster, Maryland,
Westminster,
what I showed up to was a beautiful brown card table and two microphones on these telescoping stands, like we are in fucking Air America.
That's right. Well, I don't know if you don't want to bring up Air America now.
I do, because of Al Franken.
Oh, it's over for him.
It's over for all of us.
It's finished. Well, it's this idea that now it's and this is a delicate conversation.
Well, I just came up with the title for the movie of America this year. America, 2017, The Reckoning.
The Reckoning. Yeah, it's a reckoning, a long-awaited reckoning. But there's this...
Chapter 1, verse 1.
A lot of colons in this. I agree with, Al Franken resigning. Yeah, go for it, dude. You know what? Yeah. But we're also now, the precedent is being set that, accusation, resign.
Yeah.
Accusation, resign. So now, I don't know.
I think it's really disrespectful to not allow people to understand that that there is a delicate understanding of what flirtation means, and that a lot of people, especially women, are able to be flirted with without feeling harassed.
Sure.
And so and I'm not excusing anyone. Ooh. I don't know the details of any of those situations because I just simply cannot handle the tsunami of information.
Right.
And in addition to all the unwanted penises that I personally have seen
right.
and been exposed to. So I got to deal with that thing and all the information that is a re-triggering for lots of people, not just women, but lots of people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's this I'm really upset that there hasn't, why are we not doing the ethics committee thing? Why is that process not happening?
Now, yeah.
And I'm not talking about just for Al Franken, but for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there, I don't know if there is a political party or a set of people who might be okay with making false claims for political gain. I don't know if that exists.
They're called Democrats and Republicans.
Yeah, but who, there's one of those two would probably be quicker.
Yeah.
because they want to win, and they might.
I would
have,
refer to those as the Old Testamenters.
Yeah, there's a president who might be like, yeah, whatever, man. You got to do what you got to do to win.
Yeah.
Because I recall in his debate with Hillary Clinton, and when they said, you haven't paid taxes or whatever, and he says, that's because I'm smart. And it's like, well, no, actually, it's because you're a jerk.
No, and a criminal.
Because the taxes go to paying for our roads and our public services and helping people out. That's why we pay taxes.
Poor people who use roads to get around.
I know.
I mean, they need to work on being less like losers.
Well, they have to stop drinking all that booze and spending money on all that women, and then they would be billionaires like everybody else.
No, just spending money on like heating oil
right.
and
Right.
electricity.
They're
and
always,
food.
they're always cold.
I know.
Jeez, the little people.
I just wish these losers would stop trying to use roads. They should get teleportation machines.
And now I was thinking, you just said something that I thought was pretty funny.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, it was that phrase, the unwanted penis. It sounds like it's a band name, which brings me to my something I was working on. I wasn't working on unwanted penis, but I was like, oh yeah, that'd be I saw those guys in 2001. They played with Pernium and Armed Enforcer. So I got a band name generator on my phone, an app for it or whatever, and now my phone's going to tell me 5 times in a row that my phone hasn't been backed up. So it just generates these names. Now some of these names.
How long has it been since you backed up your phone?
Like 273 days or something. I don't know.
I think mine's like 3 weeks because I'm new to iPhone. I didn't realize it was going to be so annoying.
Yeah, it keeps reminding you. So here's some randomly generated band names. Booty and the Beast. This is my absolute favorite. Galapagos. Trailer Park Jesus.
Oh.
Svelte Smelt. Shock and Almonds. Territory Al. Metal Orgy.
Ew, I don't like that one.
The Five Foe.
Metal Orgy sounds painful.
Yeah, well, it depends. I mean, if you're made out of plastic. Dr. Moody.
Ooh, Dr. Moody.
Boat Pope.
Wait. Oh.
Yeah, take that, Catholics.
Boat Pope.
Prodigal Sunburn.
I've heard that one. That's somebody's band name.
Is it? Big Mother. Dan the Torpedoes. Generation Zero.
Damn the Torpedoes?
No, Dan, as in Dan. Hey, Daniel. Dan.
Is it Dan, comma, the Torpedoes?
No,
exclamation point?
just Dan the Torpedoes. This is a really good one.
That one makes no sense.
Oh, you know what? Just let it alone. Okay? Just because you're having a hard time understanding how it's funny. Yucatango.
Ooh, that's good.
Downwind Dogs.
Oh, no.
Double Taurus.
Ooh, Double Taurus. That's good. I would use that name.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then Sensei Wheezy. And then there's a picture of me.
Sensei Wheezy.
So what I want to do is I'm gonna take a couple of those names and just do Bandcamp bands for Galapagos and
what was that one right at the top? It was before Galapagos. It was the first one.
Oh, Booty and the Beast.
Tale as old as time.
Is that a Beauty and the Beast song?
Do you hear me getting up and throwing down my headphones and walking out the door? How do you not know that?
Should I know that?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh hey, Dave Hadley is here.
Oh, okay. So let's pause.
So we're gonna have to pause for a moment and then
resume.
And then we will resume.
Listeners, you won't even know. Dave Hadley is an amazing. If you don't know him, he should be famous. He's an amazing pedal steel player. Super great guy.
Yeah, I could outplay him.
Could you?
No.
I couldn't. He's been in Grimm's band June Star. He also has his own band called Sons of Pitches.
Sons of Pitches, right?
Yeah, so check him out. All right, pause.
Yeah, pause. All right.
And we're back. And so I feel like we should start this section with a musical rendering.
Yes.
Like we should. I can't leave that loop open. Tale as old as time, true as it can be, barely even friends, then somebody bends. Oops, I don't know this part. Unexpectedly, Just a little change, small to say the least. Both a little scared, neither one prepared. Beauty and the Beast, ever just the same. Anyway, that was pretty good for no warm-up.
That was great.
Thanks. That was fun. You know, Celine Dion did that song.
Well, you know, therein is the part of the conundrum of art versus commerce,
Right.
because that's not art. That's totally Disneyfied, commercialized. It's there to make money. It's not there. It's not there for deep meaning.
Okay. Let me read these words, though.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think these are pretty solid rhymes on this song. I feel like this
Rhymes
is...
don't make art, girl.
Okay, so why do you feel that the theme song for Beauty and the Beast is not... I think it's artistic, maybe not high art.
No, it's not high art. It's
You
not
feel
even
like
low
it's
art.
just for selling.
It's just for selling money. You really think that Disney would put together a musical based on Beauty and the Beast because they wanted to have some sort of artistic expression that would reach, children at a certain age and help them develop emotionally? Hell no.
Well, maybe the animated one that reached me emotionally as a child, but I also think that it was tapping into my it was reinforcing a like a paternalistic patriarchal view of love for sure.
That's why it's the Beast.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about Disney and some bunch of schlock.
Finish
Crap.
chewing so we can get back to the topic at hand. So today's subject is commerce versus art. There's a lot of sighing going on.
Mm-hmm.
I want to listen to your essay.
Okay.
Let's listen to yours first.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right. Oh boy. There's going to be a lot. Oh boy.
Do it.
Let's
Play.
go.
Push play.
All right. In 1992, British artist Damien Hirst unveiled his famous work, The Physical Impossibility of Death in the Mind of Someone Living, which sold for $8 million. According to Hirst, the installation, which consists of a dead tiger shark suspended in a clear box filled with formaldehyde with its jaws wide open, showing its teeth, represents a duality of death. The dead shark, if alive, could make you just as dead. It's difficult to dismiss this exhibit, especially with such an impressive title, but if you take a step back, it's a dead fish in a large aquarium. I take that back. It's an $8 million dead fish in a tank. Does that make it art, or is it simply a cash grab? I don't know. However, I do know that art is meant to last. Whether it makes money or not, all art purposefully makes you think. Even if you escape from the crazy, crazy world, you still think. Art is inspired by the muses. To muse, to think. Not amusement, a muse, without thought, without reality. Art facilitates the navigation of our emotional interior, the balance between outside stimuli against our personal vulnerabilities. By design, art reaches the listener, the reader, and the viewer's heart, psyche, whatever you want to call it. There's no ulterior money motive. Now, that being said, some artists' visions and voices hit at the right time and are propelled to the stratosphere. But that's not the intent. The intent is to reach someone deeper than his wallet. Then again, there's money to be made, and there's money to be made with music. Pop music, with its divas and bad boys, has a fairly shallow purpose: popularity. The star, the household name. The only goal with pop music is to have the hit #1 record in the world. Mind you, this goal is measured by sales, and the pusher and pimp of these songs/performers is a record label with deep, deep, deep pockets.
Kesha is a great example of this pop star commerce versus art thing. She showed up around 2009, 2010, and had the hit single TikTok. You know, the one that promotes brushing your teeth with a bottle of Jack before going out. If you get a chance to listen to Animal, Cannibal, Warrior, or Rainbow, don't. I can sum it up for you right now. She's going to dance until her pants fall off or until the sun comes up, whichever happens first, because you can't hold her back when she's young, and so on. Such are the musings on her records. Now, many of her fans would argue that her producer, Dr. Luke, was controlling her and forcing her into that image, and that Kesha is a true artist being held against her will, and if she were to break free from his dance groove clutches, she would shine, and her voice, unfettered by the dark overlords of the industry, would sing us all like flights of angels to our sleep. That narrative of the pure artist struggling against the corporate machinations is not new. In fact, it has found its place in the pantheon of archetypes next to the sacrifice of the hero or the older Obi-Wan Kenobi mentor figure. However, from a purely subjective perspective, it's hard to find anything on her new artistic breakthrough record, Rainbow, that could be considered measured for depth. Sure, there's attitude, and of course there is a strong female-like voice, and Kesha's voice, and the us versus them narrative, nay, Kesha reclaiming her name narrative. But on closer examination, she barely wrote the record. She only produced one of the tracks, which means no matter the narrative, someone else is pulling the strings. Someone else is paying for the record. Because somewhere, someone in Sony Records believes in Kesha's marketability, her potential to sell records or streams for the time being. It's not forever. Image is everything. And age has a weird way of working against pop artists, especially women. I guess only time will tell in Kesha's case. In 1994, 2 years after its unveiling, Damien Hirst's artwork began to fall apart, decaying in the tank. The clear liquid becoming so clouded that visitors were unable to see the shark and experience the art. The fish was gutted and stuffed a la taxidermy, a mere shell of the fierce warrior fish, and around 2006, Hearst found another tiger shark to replace that first specimen. And someday, like Damien Hirst's rotting tiger shark in the tank of formaldehyde, Kesha will be replaced by a younger version of her own likeness, put on display for an audience's amusement.
Dang, that was a good one. That was a really good essay.
Well, thank you.
I'm gonna praise you like I should.
Oh, is that in Beauty and the Beast? Wasn't that the candelabra singing to the pork chop or whatever it is? I don't know. I can't remember.
The timepiece. He's singing to the clock.
Well, they have a relationship, right? Aren't they gay or something? Or
no,
they're
I don't know.
Well, they're not same sex. They couldn't be. Wasn't that that was the big controversy? I can't believe I'm fucking talking about this shit. But that was the controversy last year or whatever, that the candle came out of the closet or something, and they said, yes, the candle is a gay character, or no, it was the evil, the villain character, insert bad guy name, Robespierre or something, I don't know. But his little helper was supposed to be gay.
Gaston. Yes.
Right.
And it is very I thought it was very overt that they were not shielding that his sexuality was homosexuality. Yes,
Yeah.
That he was gay character. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in love with Gaston.
Yeah,
or
it
enamored of Gaston.
completely blew my mind about the musical. I couldn't. A gay character in a musical? What?
Don't.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, let's go back to your awesome essay. It was really well written. And
Thank you.
I appreciate all the deep research you did on both Hearst and Kesha.
Let me tell you, there's 3 hours of my life I'm never getting back. And it was spent listening to Animal, Cannibal, Warrior, and Rainbow. I listened to all 4 of those stupid things.
Are those her albums?
Those are her albums.
See,
yeah.
I didn't even know that.
Animal was the first one. Cannibal was kind of like an EP.
Did you buy them?
No, I listened to them on Spotify. I pay for the premium service.
Yeah.
So no, I lay down, let my body go limp, and listened to them because I wanted to. I couldn't criticize that which I had not experienced.
Yeah.
So, and now Mig is up on the table. He's excited to be here. Hey, buddy.
Hi, Mig.
And I went in saying,
I applaud you. I appreciate that about you for listening to all of that because I have been so critical of so many people, and I haven't done what you've done, which is actually listen to the material.
Yeah. Well, I needed to back it up because I wanted to. My whole idea was that I wanted to listen to Rainbow.
The latest
The
one.
latest, the breakthrough moment that she's having that even Rolling Stone gave 4 out of 5 stars on. Like,
Is Rolling Stone still around?
yeah, it's still around. Apparently, it's helmed by illiterate people, but I
didn't
was,
push your cat off the table. I
That's
was assisting.
I know,
Okay.
I know. So I was like, after I read about each record, I've always read Kesher's interviews because I find them weirdly annoying. But then I went and I read the reviews, and I was like, I cannot believe that Pitchfork is going to give this like a 6.8 or whatever it is they gave him. I can't remember exactly what they gave. And I was like, Pitchfork? Like, you guys hate everything. How could you like this record? Because I listened to, the record's like, it's a mishmash of things. I get it. She's, figuring maybe she was the executive producer on some things. And that's cool. That's great. Good for her. But to say that this is some sort of artistic, statement, it's like, the first song is like, "Don't let the bastards win," and it's like, okay, could you use a metaphor
Yeah.
for that? Maybe some sort of, I don't know. Maybe there could be a deep thing going on there. But
I agree because the only song, I definitely agree with that assessment of it because the only song that I've honestly listened to from that album is the Woman one. And
oh,
it's
I'm a motherfucking woman.
It's a very literal song.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know how she wrote that. I can tell you. Because I'm like, oh, I got a Kesha tattoo now. She wrote that because that was she wrote that on the same day, and I'm going to put "wrote" in air quotes,
Okay.
on the same day that Donald Trump's pussy grab video was like released,
Yeah.
and she was like,
Fake news.
"Whatever, I'm a motherfucking woman," and I was like, "Wow, there's divine inspiration right there." What exactly does that mean?
What it means literally is that you have female genitals. And also literally you identify as a woman because you don't actually have to have female genitals to be a woman. I want to amend my earlier statement that you can be a woman without actually having
That's
female
true.
genitals. Mm-hmm. We are a very inclusive group. We include everybody. I want to be very clear about that. I should not have said that.
Okay.
I want to make sure everyone who hears
Make
this
sure everybody knows.
understands that I think that you can be a
You
woman.
You insensitive monster.
You can be a woman without having female
I
genitals.
demand your resignation from this podcast right now.
I want to talk about your essay.
Okay.
So, you said in there that art is to make people think
Yes. Or feel.
and to feel, or possibly to do both
Yeah, that's possible.
simultaneously or at different times. And that I believe that the things that you and I probably agree on, and a lot of other people agree on, that are commercial products that people want to call artistic, are really just like tools of a capitalist overlord to numb us,
Right. Sure.
to make us. They're numbing agents, and
Absolutely.
like it reinforces the idea that like life is tough. Life is tough. It is just a tough thing to be alive, and none of us made any of the choices to actually exist. Somebody else made that choice. That's a given baseline. And then what you do to give it meaning, or to make it easier for you and find comfort, that sometimes it's just easier to be numb.
Sure.
And so we consume, like I definitely consumed that song, Woman, in the spirit. Like when it came out this summer, I was like, yeah, I was singing along and I was just like, this song is so fluffy. But I love the horn section. The Dap Kings are on the track,
Right.
and I thought it was really playful and fun that in the middle she had this, impromptu sounding like laughing track or whatever.
Oh, that's on every freaking record she does. Oh my lord.
And now you know because you're a Kesha expert.
Ugh. Yeah, she's kind of like the pecan twirl of music. Well, because it tastes good. It sounds. You're like I can bip bop and sing along to that, but at the end of the day, it means nothing and gets you nowhere.
Yeah, and if you only ate that all day, you would be vomiting by then.
I ate nothing but pecan twirls for like 2 years.
And every day you were like, I don't understand why I'm throwing up and having terrible diarrhea every day, and sort of crabby in a pallid color.
That's 4 small heart attacks a day. What's the deal?
I don't even know what pecan twirl is.
Oh, girl. We'll have to get you some.
Is it a type of ice cream?
No, not necessarily. It's a type of heaven. So I was actually, after I finished the essay, I wrote the essay last night and I recorded it last night. I mean, I finished the essay last night. I'd written 3/4 of it earlier. And I got done and I started being really, really conflicted about it because I listened to it. And I thought to myself, is this kind of like, man, I am being really harsh, especially with the end and the fact that this is something that I talk to my students about in composition. It's this idea of like, well, word choice, like the words that I'm choosing. And I don't come out and say it, but I insinuate that, Kesha's prostituting herself and that there's a pusher, there's a pimp, so there's a drug, there's a prostitute involved. And I was like, man, I'm being really, really harsh. And then also in the face of, the allegations that she had against Dr. Luke. And
who was participating in this record too, right?
No, Dr. Luke had nothing to do with this record.
Oh, okay.
Not with Rainbow.
Okay.
No, she had all these other producers. Actually, Ben Folds produces one of the songs.
How's that one?
Terrible.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like Ben Folds.
I think it was the praying one, a prayer or whatever.
Oh, where it's a lot of talking at the beginning.
I guess.
Like, yeah.
They all kind of blend in after a while.
Okay.
But and one of the songs is her mother was a songwriter in Nashville, and she wrote songs for Dolly Parton. Did one of her songs, and Dolly Parton's on the record.
Really?
They play Dolly Parton songs, and that one actually, oddly enough, I think that's the best sounding song on the record, and it was produced by Kesha and her mother. And I was like, wow, you should, the whole record should sound like this.
Yeah.
And not just because I like country music, but I'm like, this sounds so much better than Hymn for the Hymnless. I mean, that's just the dumbest song ever anyhow. Well, it's not the dumbest song ever, but it's pretty bad. Dumbest song ever is like Muskrat Love. That's a pretty dumb one. But but I started getting kind of conflicted because I started thinking about my own, here it is again, a male perspective looking at, not that I'm shaming myself for this. It's just I wrote the essay and I can own the essay, but I can also understand and recognize the fact that I said some pretty nasty negative stuff about Kesha that basically she's a rotting shark in a tank and like she's deteriorating and I don't know, I don't think that's fair to her.
That's not what I got at the end though, because what I got at the end was the idea that especially in pop music that's why it's so competitive, because you have there's literally 20 people who are doing almost exactly the same thing that you are, and you have to figure out which thing defines you. Well, the thing that defines you is that you get so powerful that you go crazy, and then that's the thing, and then you have to have the comeback, and then you have to do this but there was a period of time, especially in the late 90s, early 2000s, where it's like all the boy bands looked indiscernible from each other. All the girl bands looked indiscernible from each other, and they were all at the top of the charts. And it was just like this weird id being expressed through these primarily Caucasian pop musicians and performers.
Yeah, I would go back to that name, performer.
Yeah, performer. It's very strange and weird, and Kesha's, to me, the extreme version of that, because now I remember when we would talk about her when she first came on the scene, and that even in interviews she would say, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is approaching it the way a male rock star would. I'm doing exactly the same things that a male rock star would do. And my initial reaction to that was like, why would you do it? That's been done.
Right.
Like, do something different.
Right.
Do something even more bold and more brave. Like, be yourself. Don't be aping the bad behavior of other people that is totally about using and exploiting other people's bodies.
Right.
And therefore, in my opinion, hurting yourself too. Hurting if you believe in a soul. But I don't know. That's just me.
Well, she did. I mean, there's a half a dozen examples of her over the course of the record saying "suck my dick" and like all this. Like, I'm like, I get it, and it just takes you back to Dorothy Parker. Why is it when women act like men, they don't act like nice men?
Yeah, like good men.
It's like, good God, girl. I'm with you. Empowerment. Yeah, go do your thing, but it don't have to be like that.
As a woman, I do feel like I can understand the perspective that, like, I think I have a little bit of empathy for, not like, help, I'm being oppressed. I just think that there is a violence and reaction that you have to go through because at one point you've just been so marginalized and so stepped on culturally and psychologically that it is a human and animal reaction to just be like, I am going to do exactly what you are doing because that looks effective.
Right.
And I will act like a bad person.
Right.
Because that's what, violence begets violence. And that is a form of psychological violence in a way.
No, and look at the titles of her records.
I know. When you listen them off, I was just like, oh, man.
She's
like the
Cannibal, Warrior, but then Rainbow. With Boogie Shoes is one of the songs. That's with the Eagles of Death Metal play on it, which, of course, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever get it because I've read a lot about the Eagles of Death Metal, and after the Bataclan thing happened in Paris, I watched the documentary on that, and Jesse Hughes, who's the lead singer, I mean, he seems like he's really whacked out anyhow. He seems like he's an okay guy, but he was talking in the interview, the Rolling Stone interview with Kesha. He's like, oh, she's a badass and blah blah blah. She's our girl and da da da. And when all this stuff was going down, I was like, who do I gotta beat up? Whose ass do I gotta kick? I'm like, oh, okay, dude. And then I listened to the song. I was like, nah.
Okay, so
it's terrible.
The idea of America, 2017, the reckoning, chapter 1, chapter verse, whatever,
right.
Is that our response, because of who's been in power in the past, has been that we have to be as violent and brutal in response to everything,
right?
Because it is showing strength,
right?
Whereas if you are vulnerable and emotional in your response to events, and not like we're gonna bomb them or we're gonna do this or get out your guns,
right? That's
considered so weak, and it totally ties into like the current administration that we have, the feeling across America that we like the strong man, and that is what, as a historian, is the most worrisome thing, because when that happens, when the populace is unable to express their vulnerability because it's perceived as weakness rather than strength, when actually in every situation I've personally experienced, when someone experiences vulnerability, I think, I can't believe how strong that person is by expressing their vulnerability. That we can't do that collectively means that we are ripe to be taken over by tyrants.
Right.
Whether those tyrants be like Amazon,
Sony Records,
or Sony Records,
right,
or the 45th president of the United States.
Right.
So
yeah, well, I'm with you.
Your essay was incredible. It was the best one yet.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I don't think that you were. I don't. I really honestly believe that she will never hear this.
Oh, I don't give a shit if she hears it.
And like,
I was, my second thought on it is really just kind of like, I mean, Kesha's Kesha. She's on her own planet, and our paths will never cross. And even if we did, I don't think we would have a conversation.
Yeah.
And because I don't know if she's capable of it. Her work would indicate that she's not. Okay, so I'm being harsh again, but also it's like, well, I don't know. I mean,
but don't you think that you get to an age too where you're just like the people that you want to interact with? Like I appreciate people being more upfront about who they are now, because it wastes less time. And to be like, if that's what you're about, like I don't even like. There's never been a point in 42 years of life that I've been like, I want to get so messed up on alcohol or drugs that I don't even know my own name or remember what my body did.
Right.
I've never had that experience. And I've been fortunate because my psychological life has meant that I haven't had to I've never needed to numb myself that way.
Right.
Or even just like thought that would be fun. Like that isn't fun to me at all. So if that's what you're about, like I'm glad to know that, because then there's no point. It's just be like, nice to meet you. See ya. I'm not interested in having a relationship with you because you've told me what you're about. I appreciate that. So like, yeah, there's not going to be, I want to interact with people that are trying to move gently through the world. I really need that.
Wow. That and your sweet potatoes. Oh, sweet potato cherry.
Oh, sweet potato. She just loves those sweet potatoes. Let's play my essay.
Okay, we're going to listen to your essay now. Let's see if it's up to snuff.
I don't know. That was a good one. I feel confident, but not. Yours was really, really good. I'm proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Squish.
I really like sweet potatoes. I buy a few of them every week and use them for almost every meal of the day sometimes. I like them sliced up and fried in vegetable oil and salted with sea salt. I like them boiled and mashed with butter and bananas. I like them spiraled into noodles, cooked and served with peanut sauce. I love the color when they are mashed up, a perfect, healthy orange hue. They are sweet, but not too sweet. Sweet potatoes come from Central and South America, and they grow best with a long, warm growing season. They can grow in sandy soils and need lots of water and sunshine. They start as slips, which are sprouts grown from other sweet potatoes. You can buy a nice sweet potato at the grocery store, and from it, you can grow your own slips for a month and a half before you plant them outside. And after they are planted, they take between 3 and 4 months to grow. Sweet potatoes can be grown for eating for yourself, and if you are so inclined, you could give extras to a friend or also sell them and receive money to buy other things for yourself. If you were to decide to grow a lot of extra sweet potatoes, you could sell them in a supermarket, or you could possibly become a vendor at a farmer's market and sell a fewer quantity there. You might even just decide to use the honor system and put your potatoes out in front of your house and have people leave money for them. In each of these cases, the people purchasing your sweet potatoes understand the transaction. Even if they do not think about it each time they buy it, they understand that at some point you went through all the steps to grow the potato, and they are paying for it because they want to eat it. As you can hear, it is very straightforward to figure out how to grow and then give away or sell a sweet potato. It is not very straightforward on how to create a song and sell it. It did used to be, but that was before the late 1990s when I started creating my songs and trying to sell them for money so that I could buy sweet potatoes and pay for other things I needed to stay alive. For me, sometimes a song comes as a single word floating around in my head, and I say the word until other words attach to it like a magnet. Then I say the whole sentence and it starts to float on a little, distant melody. Sometimes the melody comes rushing in and I'm instantly able to find the chords on piano or guitar to place under it, to make it feel supported enough to push me through to a structure for the song. Sometimes it begins as a story idea and the character of the story has something to say, and those times it's almost too easy. Other times I have written a little melody on the piano and the flow of the song comes to me over days of practice, trial and error, and I happen to be looking through an old diary and a brilliant line, sharp with pain or joy, sparks out at me, and the melody and words snap together. Even after all these years, I'm surprised at how different the process is for each song for me to write. I suppose this is why it takes me a while to assemble enough for a full project or a traditional album full of tracks. Then there is the recording process, which has sometimes come together as an utterly solo process that I made in my home, or other times involving expert producers, recording engineers, and other musicians, all contributing to a completely different version of the song than the one with which I had originally started. When I began to record my songs, I had them pressed onto compact discs and would sell them at my performances. This helped me to make money so that I could buy sweet potatoes and other things that I needed to stay alive. Then the internet started becoming a thing, and some people who had purchased my music on CDs put the tracks onto the web to share them. They were shared without anyone paying for them and became part of the wallpaper of the internet over time. It was a challenge to figure out how to stop this from happening, and eventually it became too late to do anything about it. I accepted that something I had previously sold was now essentially free. I mean, I knew I had lost control of my songs the moment the words and melodies were out of my mouth, but I had the illusion of control of the selling part of it. I made the CD, someone paid me for making it, and for the chance to own it and listen to it over and over. But that's all changed now, and the many platforms for how I can sell my music changes weekly. There's a steep learning curve for each of these platforms. I cannot interact on Facebook the same way I interact on Instagram or Snapchat or Tumblr, and those are just the platforms I can name right now. There have been at least 10,000 new ways created to interact with music fans since the internet started, and I cannot keep up. I recently made the decision that there was no point in pressing another CD of my music for sale because downloads, and more importantly, streaming listening had taken over. My original method of sale of my music, the CD, was not even going to be able to be played on computers or in cars anymore. So again, I'm figuring out how the new way to sell my recorded music. Again, it seems mysterious, and worse than that. Once I understand one mysterious thing, another pops up to replace it with its own mysteriousness. Even if I were to wake at the crack of dawn and work all through the day, as many a sweet potato farmer has done, I don't think there would be enough time to suss out all of these mysteries. I really like making up songs, and I really truly like when someone listens to a recording I made and says how it affected them or helped them, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. Well, maybe I would trade it for a lifetime supply of sweet potatoes.
So, listeners, all you got to do to get into an Ellen Cherry show is bring her some yams.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's all I can. I'm going to start to develop a healthy orange glow.
You know
what I eat.
Oh, you don't want to. Not these days.
Right.
It's ironic because the yam, the sweet potato, is the man's crop in Nigeria.
Is it?
Did you read Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart?
No, not yet.
You better.
Okay.
You're not gonna like it.
The title alone tells you what happens.
Well, that's a reference to William Butler Yeats' The Second Coming.
Okay.
The whiting gyre, the falcon can no longer hear the falconer.
You're
the
smart.
center cannot hold, things fall apart.
Oh, yes, I do know that.
Mm-hmm. What rough beast slouches towards Bethlehem?
Joan Didion, man, she stole all of her titles
She did.
from Yeats.
Yeats.
Keats and Yeats.
Well, it's
they're on your
actually
side.
pronounced Yeats. Oh, yeah, keep the gates on your side. It's a sunny day, and I'll meet you at the gates.
Are you going to be doing
It's
Morrissey?
Cousin Donnie.
Cousin Donnie voice?
Yeah, that's a good essay. I really like the sweet potato stuff. Once again, you do this whole discursive opening type of thing. That's what I was trying with my essay with the Damien Hirst thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the whole, as I'm listening, because I know it's about commerce, I know it's about art, but I'm like, oh, I get it.
It definitely sounded like I was complaining a lot.
No, I don't think
complaining,
no
protestation.
No.
But the point of it was just that, like, it's pretty cut and dry to do this one thing, and it's not at all cut and dry for me to participate in the commerce part. I'm failing spectacularly.
It's not about the commerce. Well, okay, the commerce part is there, but it's about the product. The difference between a yam and a song.
I prefer the term sweet potato, or SP for short.
Okay.
SPs.
The difference between a sp and a song is, one is food that one takes in, one can manipulate on their own, whatever, but you only consume it. Well, I guess you can consume it twice if you throw it back up, but that's a model of consumption that people will equate with health or sustenance. Not that the songs don't. The songs do, but that's a different type of sustenance. And a sweet potato is a known quantity. So therefore, why would I take a risk on one of your songs when I can get the sure thing from this sweet potato that I'm going to doctor up with brown sugar, nutmeg, and some marshmallow?
That's an interesting way
with butter
to make it super unhealthy. But yes, go ahead.
Yeah, that's the only way to eat sweet potatoes.
It's not the only way.
It's the only way. That
I
eat
listed
them.
Several ways you could prepare one.
That's
at
right.
The top of my essay.
There'll
In case anyone wants to reverse
the Why
the
Aren't You
tape.
Famous? The Why Aren't You Famous podcast cookbook. Right. So, no, the essay is good. I think like the whole idea is like you had that part where you talked about the illusion of control.
Yeah.
For the independent artist, and this is obviously what Rhett Miller was talking about in that essay that you forwarded on the Facebooks.
It's on The Baffler. You can find it on. It's a magazine called The Baffler, and a fan sent it to me yesterday, and I read it, and I was like, "Oh, this guy knows exactly what I'm talking about." And oops, I think we're the same age. I think I'm the same age as Rhett Miller.
As Rhett Miller, wow.
Yeah.
He's so much more successful than you.
I know.
I mean, you guys both write songs. Why aren't you more successful?
Why
aren't you famous like Rhett Miller?
I'm pretty sure that this podcast is proving. I'm pretty sure that this was all the hypothesis was like, I'm gonna prove Ellen Cherry
Is not
going
famous.
to prove why she isn't famous
Yeah.
by talking for 24 hours.
Yeah, well, yeah, none of us are famous, but there's that, that it goes back to I think my opening principle about the whole podcast is that, we worry about those things. We worry about, for a good measure, because you want to make a living at it.
Yeah.
But that making a living at it is almost impossible unless you're famous.
Yeah.
Or I don't say it's almost impossible, but it is really difficult. And we had the you and I both had that subscription challenge. Mm-hmm.
I met it.
Did you?
I got 2.
You got 2?
Yeah.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 more subscribers now.
Congratulations.
Yep.
I have deep compersion for your success.
I'm up to 23.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and good for you. I'm glad that you made your goal. And I'm also glad I beat it.
Truth be told, I was one of your subscribers.
I was one of your
I
subscribers.
know. Dang it.
Yeah, no,
And I'm losing $1 on that subscription.
Well, and I started to think to myself like about, well, selling a CD is easy. Like it's easy for me psychologically because I'm playing a show. I have a CD. People see it. They want to buy it. Boom.
Yeah.
The cold call on people for subscriptions or whatever. Man, that's really tough.
Yeah.
It's like, but that's the whole other avenue of how you sell your music. And, I'm thoroughly convinced that that's the only way that
Any of us are going to survive.
any of us are going to be able to make, like, if I have 1,000 subscribers, I won't have to work. Like, I won't have to do the teaching gig, the McDaniel gig, although I would probably still do it because
Yeah.
I'm a through and through teacher.
Well, no, what you'll be doing is you will be working as a creative professional creating content.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have to do any of the sound gigs.
Yeah.
That's the part I really want to
Phase out.
phase out because my
It's physically hard.
and my ears are getting tired and it's really hard on the body, but it's also like it consumes a lot of time.
Yeah.
But I think that like also you talked about the different platforms where you communicate with, and it's just so cute that you call them fans, because I don't know if I can call them fans. Like I have a hard time with that word. I'm like, I don't mean cute. Like I'm like, well, little sweet potato cherry. She calls them fans. I call them suckers. No. But it's like, I don't know. Why can't I do that? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
It's a psychological barrier. Do you
It
want
is.
to refer to them as friends?
No.
Supporters?
Supporters, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, supporters. People who support the cause, I guess. Because when I think of fandom, I think of like, I think that reminds me of the pop music type of stuff.
Yeah, like having your picture on their wall and being
Right.
like, oh my God, Andrew Grammy has the most dreamy hair.
Oh, wouldn't it be
ever."
funny to do like a Tiger Beat like poster for?
For our tour.
Yeah, I started working on our tour poster, by the way, too.
Good.
So, but we'll talk about that later. Go back to your essay. But we have all these formats of how we interact with people, and then the question always becomes like, how do you monetize that? How do you like?
Because it takes time.
You're eating up time.
If it was something that was like an automated process, and I realized, please don't tell me. I know that I could use Hootsuite or,
Oh.
or schedule this stuff, but that also takes time.
Yeah.
And then even like the difference between me and you doing this, the digital, technological, small business maintenance, promotional aspect of our work is that
Versus different from who?
different from somebody even 10 years ago,
Sure.
even 15 years ago when we started, where like there were, it's such a catch-22, and I realized that like we end up talking about the same thing over and over again. Like, what are we doing? What can we do? And all we can do is complain about it. And maybe this is just our a release valve for it. And this is the moment for us to be like, everything sucks. We can't do anything about it. It's just that when I kind of want to pull back the curtain. I want to continuously pull back the curtain and be like, this is the, bloody, tacky, tarry underside of like pretty much what you and I are dealing with psychologically. It's not like I have to go shovel actual piles of shit.
Right.
But
they're digital piles of shit.
Yeah. And I have to sift through that. And I was talking to my landlord this morning because he was like, well, how, because he's in construction, and he was just like, I don't know how any of that works. I know how my children interact with music. And he's like, they pay for it this way, but he's like, I don't really listen to music anymore. If he's like, I feel like I'm out of the age. I'm listening to what my children listen to.
Oh God.
And yeah, there was a little heartbreak in there for me, for him personally, because of the quality of like what's his artistic life, or his experience. But I think there's a real mystery for a lot of people to think about, like, what does the day involve? You know?
Right.
And I barely had time yesterday to play guitar.
Right.
And Dave Hadley shows up and he's like, hey, you writing new material? Which is a perfectly great question to ask a songwriter.
Right.
I should be like, yeah, in 2 years I've produced like, 20 songs that I'm really proud of. Mm-hmm. But I'm totally blocked. And part of the reason why I'm blocked
is because you got all this other stuff piled on top of you.
Yeah. And it's not like people are just like, well, just don't do that. Well, if I don't do that,
you can't not do that.
If I don't do that, then I have to find another job.
Right.
And I have found other jobs. Like I clean houses, I babysit, I teach lessons.
Right.
I took a part-time job this year to try to like figure out if that would be enough to sustain me so that I would have, time to actually not even worry about like if I'm just to do the creative side. And then explaining to a person who doesn't do creative work that it is not, it's a lot. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. And I have all these ideas, but the thing is that the ideas are like, I feel bad for them because they're buried. They're buried underneath a snowball of obligations that I feel to my business.
My advice is
make a plan, execute it.
That's right. And that's hard. It's also like you have to create this is kind of like us listeners, this is us, like this is what we talk about every day. Like when we're not on the podcast, this is the junk we talk about. But it's, there's that idea of like, get into a routine. Like when I was really I started kind of getting back into a semi-routine, oddly enough, because I was longing for rejection. And I was sending the new June Star record to labels, and you and I talked about this last night.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I wasn't selling it very well because I was like, I don't care. And it's not that I don't care, but it's like I'm so used to either a non-response or a no that when I send it, I stopped sending like articles, like reviews of like previous records. I'm like, here's like half a sentence. Here's a stream link. Let me know if you're interested. If not, I'm totally cool with it. I don't, I'm going to release it without you anyhow. So, I mean, like, and the only reason I'm doing that is to kind of like curb my expenses on manufacturing. If I can get somebody to pay to manufacture it, that I don't have to pay them back in any type of, extensive way, or get some distribution, that's great. But even then, I don't even know what that means. I think to me what it means, I guess, as I'm thinking about it, is that it's somebody who I don't know, who's not my friend.
A form of validation.
Who is supporting me.
Yeah.
Because I support all my friends. And it's kind of expected for me to support my friends. Even if they put out a record that's not super great, I'm still like, hey, that's, cool. You put it out. And here's what I like about, that song or that song or that song. And then like, I'm going to go to their show, or I'm going to hang out and promote them to people.
But you and I have limited resources to do that, and limited time.
Yeah.
Time and energy and money resources to even do that, because, and that's just, I know that I probably sound like I'm just complaining, because there is and I think the issue is that, okay, so I had the show in Texas last week, I worked for 2 months promoting it, and it was this fundraiser, and I was charging a fee, and I wanted them to be able to cover their fee with the ticket sales. And it was a celebration, and the organizer in the middle of the week before the show said, I want you to know that it honestly doesn't matter. I know we're at least going to have 30 people there. There's probably going to be more that are going to show up at the door. And it was a great turnout, but her whole attitude reminded me that for them it was like this big gift that we were going to have this evening together and music. And when I just accepted that and went with the flow of it, it was this really beautiful show, and everyone had a good time and got something out of it, and the money stuff got figured out. And so there's a part of me that's just like, okay, just be in that flow and assume that things are going to work out. But the rest of my life is not like that. The rest of my life is constantly feeling like I try to think in abundance, but I am definitely living in dystopic, financial times where you're just like, I really don't know. Yeah, it's great to have a plan and execute it.
Right.
But part of the plan is going to be like what we were talking about when Dave was here, which is I hope that I'm able to be charming for the rest of my life. My looks are going to fade eventually. Like, I'm aging, and maybe I'll always be a cute older lady.
Well, maybe you'll just morph into a sweet potato.
Maybe I'll start to resemble an actual sweet potato. But you like look into the future and you're just like, I want to continue on this trajectory of writing rich, hopefully for me, deep music, and for other people too. But I don't know. It looks bleak. Oh God, it looks bleak.
Well, it doesn't look bleak, but once again, I take we had this conversation I think before we started taping. You were talking about the song contest.
Yes.
There's no faster way to age yourself than to
enter a song contest.
Enter a songwriting contest or a battle of the bands crap. My philosophy is like I'm already in a battle of the bands. Like every time I put a record out, I'm competing with U2. I'm competing with and which is really funny because now with the advent of the internet and the fact that like I am on Spotify with everybody else, like I'm in the same league as these super huge. That's a battle of the bands, man. I don't need to enter your stupid contest to find out that I'm not good enough for your judges. Yeah. Good Lord. I quote Elizabeth Proctor, "The magistrate that judges you is in your own heart, John." Yeah, I just got real. A little Arthur Miller there for you.
You did get real.
But that's like, we're our own harshest critics. And like, oh, you know what I need to do? I need to get somebody who I don't know to judge my song, against somebody who probably does nothing but sits around and eats mayonnaise all day. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. So don't do that. Don't even worry about it. You're already in a competition with yourself.
I'm already in a battle of the bands with myself.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the song we're going to feature.
Okay, the song we're going to feature.
On a different note.
On a different note, that's true. Well, the song comes from a band called Society Fringe Players.
Society Fringe Players. They're a B-more band, aren't they?
They are a B-more band, and they are formerly Circle 9. Which was a band that was around in Baltimore. Ooh, God, I'm going to get this probably wrong. Probably like very, very late 80s through the 90s. No, even like maybe the 94, 95 through mid 2000s. And then they kind of broke up. And I'm just looking something up really quick here. And hold on one second. Hold up. Okay. Okay, that's enough. But Dave Lindentude, like the first June Star show, Circle 9, not the first, but our first CD release show in 99. They played with us. Dave Lindentude's sister, Laura, had a small record label called Baltimore Records, and they put out a compilation or whatever. But she was dating Jay Filippone of the Beltways at the time, and Jay, like, we had played a show I think with the Beltways or whatever, and he was friends with her, so she came out to see us, and she's like, "Oh, you have a CD release show? Well, my brother's band they're awesome. They're like, you should have them play on the bill with you, and there'll be a ton of people there." And I was like, "Oh, okay, great, whatever." And of course, this is a time where you couldn't hear a sample of what they were going to do. So, but she seemed cool, and and those guys were really nice. There's 4 of them. I think it was like Brian Lutz's. He's the bass player. I think it was his first show with them. He'll probably correct me, but I think it was his first show. And they're having drinks at the bar, and there's a ton of people there, and this is at Wyatt's on Easton
Wyatt's.
Avenue, and so it's like, yeah, well, I guess it's time for us to play, and have a nice conversation about, we're talking about Steve Earle and all this other stuff. And so they get up there on the stage, and the first thing out of Dave Littleton's mouth is something along the lines of, "You goddamn motherfuckers, we're gonna show you what, we're gonna take our bass player out back and fuck him in the ass." I was like, "Ooh."
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah, sorry. But half of the audience were all like public educators from Carroll County. I was like, "Ooh, this is different."
This is not reading your room.
Wow.
You did not read the room.
Now he read the room. He just chose to ignore decorum.
He decided, he was just like, I could play music or I could set fire to it.
Yep. Well, it's a little bit of both.
Music, set fire.
Set fire. Well, so those guys, they broke up, and then Dave kind of like floated around for a little bit, and then he created Society Fringe Players, and they did it he was like exploring some of his previous stuff, and he writes a lot. Like, the guy writes a ton of stuff, and Brian ended up kind of circulating back into the band, and Dave Linitude has these vast heroic ideas of like projects.
Yeah.
And so the song we're going to listen to comes from an 80s song opera called The Big Opera, which was going to be called Apocalypse Tomorrow. They have a podcast, the Society Fringe podcast.
Yeah.
And that's how they released the record, is they would do a song a week.
Oh, cool.
So they release the song on a Monday, and then on Wednesday they have a commentary podcast talking about the song.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool, and it's funny. I mean, because like those guys are, they're very distinct personalities. Dave he's kind of like very, very manic in how he talks, and Brian's always kind of, yeah, Dave, yeah, but the great thing about their commentaries is they'll talk for maybe 5 minutes about the song, and then the rest of the hour and 20 minutes.
So theirs even longer than ours.
Oh, theirs are pretty long, but they talk about everything from like pop culture, sci-fi stuff to like this deep history stuff to other rock and roll bands, and
cool.
So it's very entertaining podcast. So when and I was on there once. They had me on as a guest, which was fun. And I've helped them out with a couple shows, and they're really cool guys. Well, they're finished the 80 song opera now, and they're moving on to the triple album Travelogue that Circle 9 never finished. And I was just texting with I was messaging with Brian Lutz, and I said, "You guys think you might just want to do a normal record?" And I think Brian's response was something like, "Yeah, I don't know. Dave doesn't think that way." I'm like, okay, but it's always cool.
It's like a medical condition.
Well, and the thing is like their records, like their records and their playing is it's very rock, kind of punk oriented. There's a little bit of country in there. Dave's a huge fan of the Beatles and the Replacements, and
so their song structure too, strong song structure.
There's strong song structures,
pop structure, yeah.
And these are things like he'll be like, "Oh, well, and he does have the Baltimore accent, by the way. Dave, you definitely do, and I know you do because he lives in Catonsville. But he's like, he'll be like, "Well, I wrote that back in 1987, and I was sitting in College Park, and it's like, whoa, but he remembers every single line from everything.
Wow.
Like, I don't think he uses lyric sheets or anything like that. And there's like literally hundreds of songs.
That's awesome.
So anyhow, this song's called Another Spot.
Okay.
It's towards the end of the rock opera. I don't know the context of everything that goes on because the plot, sometimes you can follow it, sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
But it's a science fiction post-apocalyptic type of thing. But it's a
Nice.
short tune, so
Okay.
Enjoy Society Fringe Players, Another Spot.
Right
Cool.
All right. Another spot on my soul. You can definitely hear the replacements.
Yes, I was going to say
Thing.
that. There's what is the name of that? There was a 90s band that had a song about a train, and it was like
Oh, Soul Asylum?
Soul Asylum.
Runaway train, never looking back.
Like his voice reminded me a little bit of that.
Yeah, Dave
Soul,
Pirner.
Yeah, soul
Yeah.
coughing.
Soul coughing. Whoa.
A little like Lemonheads kind of. I don't know. Just that like the recording of it definitely evokes to me that mid 90s kind of sound. Like I'm very like I think of that sound very affectionately because it was, there was a great radio station in Dallas. I don't know why I say, you may not have known, but
You know.
94.5 The Edge.
You down Dallas. Oh.
Shout out to all my people who knew who 94.5 The Edge was.
Whoa, yeah. I miss those guys.
I mean, you can hear them in Kansas. Like they broadcast really far, and this is pre-internet, so like you just had to have a good antenna that could pick up radio signals. But there was an alternative rock station in Dallas, Texas, and they played that kind of music, and it was fun to listen to, and it got me into Black Hole Sun. That's a version. That's a Nina Simone version.
Oh, the Nina Simone version of Black Hole Sun, huh? Black Hole Sun.
That's the Tom Waits version.
Black Hole Sun.
Won't you come and
was it-
watch? Oh,
And wash away me. Right. Yeah, anything could be Tom Waits these days.
yes.
Right.
I've just had
Sing-
Nina Simone on the brain.
What's the Beauty and the Beast song? We'll do it like Tom Waits.
Tales all the time.
Tell old as time. Yeah, whatever.
True as it can be.
No, I'm not doing it. So yeah, and one of the things I really like about their recordings, and I think it's so appropriate that they're on the Art versus Commerce podcast, this episode,
Yeah.
is because those guys are, they do not care about, selling they got to a point where they're like, well, you know what, maybe, who cares if we sell this stuff? We're making it, we're putting it out.
Yeah.
They
Doesn't it feel like lightsabers against darkness?
it does.
Torches in the darkness.
Right.
Like that's basically if you really want to know what keeps all of us going, it's just like there's a revolutionary spirit and a rebellious spirit.
A pioneer spirit.
A pioneer explorer spirit
Right.
that you're just like, I have to.
Versus the conquistador spirit.
Yeah. Which is what makes pop stars, I guess. Like they have to go in and they're like, I'm going to infect and kill and numb half the population.
Yeah, with an earworm
Yeah.
that will lay dormant for years and then eat
Like the
away
Wrath of Khan.
Yes. Ooh, yeah, those things. I hate those things.
Ugh.
Gross. Poor Chekhov. But but they, the way that they put this record out and the way that they record and when you listen to the podcast, and I cannot recommend it enough to listen to the Society Fringe podcast, because you listen to these guys talk, and if you're not listening carefully, you're going to miss some of the things that they actually do in the recording. But they talk about like, well, we wanted to pan this, we wanted to do that, and then we want to do these backup things here, and then we had to do the guitar like 2 different times, and they're also working off of like antiquated equipment.
Yeah.
It's not analog, it's digital, but it's like I think he's using Logic 8, and his computer is from 2006.
Yeah.
And like it's barely like creeping by, and their microphones are held together with duct tape, but all the like financial things that they have to do, they do it through bartering. Like, because they're both construction guys, they're both handyman kind of guys, so they do a lot of finishing work and stuff like that. And like, if to get somebody to master something, I think it was the mastering, or it was one of the things that they agreed to, like, I don't know, do some work around the house to like, offset the cost of whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So they're always on a budget, but they're, it's not about money to those guys. It's about like, hey, we got this project, we want to do this, we're going to put this out. And if anything, it's a huge FU to
Major labels.
yeah, contemporary, like the contemporary consumption of music. And what's even better is that they are on Apple iTunes. They are on, like, their podcast is, and
Yeah.
they're starting to. It sounded like the last couple of episodes I listened to, they're starting to pick up like more listeners and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So, which is really good, and more power to those guys.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that I could just listen to them without the music.
Yeah.
Like the music's cool. It's a great thing to have to anchor it around. But man, like they're just highly entertaining on their own without it. And Dave Linitude is like, they're both very knowledgeable history kind of guys. They read history books. They like a lot of sci-fi and stuff like that. And they just have a lot of fun talking about that stuff. And it's just, I don't know, it's a lot of fun to listen to.
Okay, I'll listen.
Yeah, you better.
I'm going to.
All right. Well, that brings us to our tour.
Yes, which is actually coming together in some ways.
I cannot believe it.
We're actually getting maybe.
I think we might have all the day. I think we will have all the dates.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna have a day off.
Yeah.
It's Cleveland is confirmed.
Yep.
Detroit is confirmed.
Fort Wayne, we're playing a lunch concert at
Sweetwater.
Sweetwater, so excited. Hey, music. Hey, gear nerds. We're going to the mothership.
We are, man. I'm walking away with as many things as I can.
Don't tell them all that over there.
Oh, right. No, I'm just kidding. I would never do anything to bring shame to the name of Mike Arango, my sales engineer.
Thank you to our sales people.
Yep.
At
I love those
Sweetwater.
guys. So that's exciting. Yeah, we got that. Indianapolis is confirmed.
Yep.
Chicago's
confirmed.
Tulsa seems to be, St. Louis. Well, Lawrence, Kansas is not, so that's probably not going to happen.
Sorry, Lawrence.
So I shifted my gaze towards Gaze, Okay.
I was just thinking of the Eye of Sauron.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got to do what you got to do. But I started looking at St. Louis.
Cool. Tulsa looks like we're going to probably have a house concert, possibly.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know. We're still looking. Please, Vox Populi Tulsa, please contact us back.
Please.
Little Rock, I'm working on. Hendrix people, if you're listening, Hendrix College, let's do a show.
Yep. And then there's Austin and Dallas.
Austin, might something happen. Dallas, we should be able. Yeah, there's some holes we gotta fill.
Yeah, but you're like from like outside of Dallas, right?
Doesn't matter where
Yes, it
you're
does.
from.
You just played a show in
I
Dallas.
know.
Why can't you just hook this up with the same joint?
Because
You feel bad?
no, it's just
Did you steal something from them?
their hearts.
Oh, well, you got to take them back.
I'm bringing your hearts back, Texas.
Gosh.
Yeah, no, I need to get to work on that. In fact, I'm going to write it.
So you're going to make a little note
Really
right now.
big note.
Then Birmingham, which seems to be a lost cause. Yeah, it kind of falls apart there.
So the second, we got the first week strong.
Right. But
Second week we're still working on, and then the route back looks okay.
Asheville, we have Asheville and we have Chapel Hill.
Okay.
Those are definites.
And
Asheville
Wake Forest.
and Wake Forest. Well, Wake Forest is the Chapel Hill show.
Okay. And then we come back and we definitely have a confirmed March 24th at the
Yep.
4-hour day in Luthery.
Yep.
4-hour
day
Luthery
Right.
in Baltimore.
Right.
Yeah.
So
We're getting there.
So yeah, I mean, we actually have people responding to us.
That feels good.
It does feel good. It
Yeah.
feels like we're doing it.
It feels
we're
like
making
I
it happen.
exist. It feels like I'm not just a wisp in the air.
Right. Because when you send those emails, you wonder, where do they go? What happens to those emails?
Nowhere.
They don't go anywhere.
There is a comic book artist out of Canada named Chester Brown, and he writes these great books. I love his comics, but they're also like his early stuff is super crazy weird. And he had this comic book where something was happening where like this one character couldn't stop pooping,
Oh God.
and then you find out later that his butt is actually a portal from another world that was full of poop, and they were just they found this portal to put it through, but they didn't know where it went, so they were just shoving it all through there. And at one point Reagan unfortunately gets stuck in there, but only his head goes through the portal, and then his head ends up being, it's very, very interesting.
Wow.
That's where I think those emails go.
Huh.
They go into a Chester Brown comic, a
Right.
graphic novel, very graphic in this case,
Yes.
and then they get shit out the other side.
Yeah. I wonder if there's a dead email letter office
Yeah, somewhere.
somewhere. Yeah. A lot of my emails go there, apparently.
No, but we're thinking positively.
We
and
are.
We're working it. We're working the program.
We're working it.
Working it, girl. Okay, so the next episode is about ambition.
Ooh, I have no ambition, but what? There's no ambition to prick my sides except to vault over the other. I think that's Macbeth.
Man, you are good at quoting.
I'm not good at quoting. I just know that one pretty well.
You're pretty good at quoting. I'm impressed by your quotables today.
My quotables. Well,
You're meeting your quota of quotables.
Yeah, well, well, my cousin Donnie, man, he's like,
No.
he got a quota once.
Turtle, stop.
Wait, now I can't stop now. Turtle,
Ambulance.
that's not the.
Ambulance. Sorry, that was a safe word for somebody else. Ambulance.
No, that's not the safe word.
Blair.
No.
Road.
Raid.
Horn.
Listeners,
I forgot the safe word and I can't stop the
I know.
Baltimore voice.
You can't stop it from happening now, honey. It's it's just like cruising right
Tony,
down Baylor Road like
Rita,
you're going to
home
Kingsville.
haircut.
Home haircut. That's terrible. Okay, so we are at the end of our podcast. Ellen Cherry, where can people find you on the internets?
Hopefully at my brochure that I have control over, ellencherry.com. And then you can also become a subscriber at ellencherry.bandcamp.com. And yourself, good sir.
You can find the latest June Star junk at junestar.com. I just recently signed up for Songkick.
I don't know what that is.
That's like the bands in town type of thing.
Songkick,
man. That's how you get your dates there up on that Spotify.
Oh, brother.
Spotify and Bandcamp, they also post on Bandcamp. So my shows are now appearing on Bandcamp apparently.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which is good. And speaking of Bandcamp, you can subscribe to my Bandcamp page at junestar.bandcamp.com / not / but it's a / actually. Subscribe, and for $5 a month you can get everything that I do and the new June Star record, which comes out April 27th. I've selected a date,
Yay!
so there it is. You can get it there. Birth date, yay! And yeah, that's it. So ambition.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about ambition next time.
Oh boy.
Here we go.
All right, well,
Thanks for listening all the way to the end, you 7 people.
you keep saying that. Let's think positively.
You 8 people.
8 people, that's right. All right, see you later.
Bye, Mom.